If you and this girl were thrown into a dangerous wilderness, without food, water, or even clothes to protect yourself for 21 days, would you survive the challenge? If you succeed, you will receive $100,000, equivalent to 2.5 billion Vietnamese dong. If you fail, you will be carried away on a stretcher. First is the female lead named A.F. Tin, 27 years old, a full-time parent. All of her original beautiful abilities were imparted to her by her grandfather, a man of red blood. He always encouraged and guided her to adapt to nature instead of resisting to overcome challenges. Tuet is Nam Chin Zak, one of the 4 beautiful members of Hong Jia. The reason he wanted to become a teacher was quite strange, just because he happened to watch a beautiful show on the Discovery Channel and fell in love with this series. After several months of self-study and creating many skills at home, he began accepting students. This time they were taken to an unnamed wilderness in Guyana, a place far from civilization with the most poisonous snakes in the Western Hemisphere. The wind is located in the tropic zone. This area is also a symbol of heat. The wharf is a dangerous yard area. If humans are targeted by this species, they will have no chance of survival. Accommodates the off-road vehicle that brought 2 people there and also conveniently carried away their clothes. After that, the 2 met in the wilderness. As soon as we met, he said, my height must be almost twice that of her. A.F. Love shyly replied, we are not the last couple with the cutest height in height. The 2 of them brought with them beautiful things that this time were still lighters, small spoons, and food. They studied the map, then determined their direction and immediately set off. Walking under the harsh sunlight for an hour, Zek couldn't stand it anymore. He turned the soil from the bottom up and poured it on his body. After another hour, they reached the shore. Zek was just about to get ready to run cold when he saw that Afton was suffering from sunburn. He quickly turned back to light the fire, then quickly took dirty water from the bowl and tail. But after drinking water, Afton began to climb the tree and open the mountain. The tension got worse when night came. The terrible screams from afar made them so scared that they couldn't even breathe. The next day, after a sleepless night due to being tortured by bad things, both of them were in very bad spirits. They didn't understand what was going on, so they decided to explore. But after walking a while, Afton was so tired from the sun that he sat down and cried. Zak was helpless and could only sleep peacefully and pray. On the 3rd day, Zek looked at his lover Afton, who looked like he was so sad that he couldn't bear it. Afton also felt tears in his eyes. To make matters worse, Afton had her period again. Then they went back into the stopping area to look for food. Instead, Afton accidentally discovered a turtle. With bloodshot eyes, Zek kept rushing to catch the turtle. Next, he also caught a tapestry, brought it back to the village, grilled the tapestry and then sold it to him. Zek said as he ate, if there were some cumin seeds it would be much more delicious. After finishing eating, he continued to make a turtle cart and put it in the cooking pot, then clicked the button. However, here it is, the situation doesn't seem to be quite right. Zek felt very fond of her, began to remember his girlfriend and showed his loyalty in front of the filming. On the 5th day, after sex, you always have to be vaccinated with water, plus your period will be smoother, and your mood will become more confident. In these challenges of survival in nature. After the 7th day, both of their conditions got worse. In the end, Afton could no longer read. I was confused for a while and decided to quit. Zek, who predicted the outcome. No gloves to hold it back. Just gave her a quick review and then left calling her a challenge. After Afton left. Although Zek also feels worried about the future. He still decided to continue the challenge. And in the afternoon. He found a lot of ants in a fire and he lived with them. At night, alone, he carried me around and couldn't sleep. On the 11th day, because he was so hungry that he almost went crazy, he used a small spear to make a long stick and started hunting. After leaving early, he finally caught one frozen in the tree. Returning to the camp, he asked it to go in and turn it on the fire to grill. At night, he started talking nonsense because he felt lonely. On the 15th day, after the trial period plus lack of food, he gradually became cold and began to hallucinate. On the 19th day, his spirit was exhausted, he could not stand up. The program team had to rush to call for emergency treatment. The doctor suggested that he give up, but Bok Kin refused and decided to continue. On the 20th day, Doc's meditation power and spirit reached the limit. The programming team even needs to remind you to be careful. But Doc Kin did not give up, he decided to split the day into 2 to avoid the ordeal. On the first day, you need to cross the 7 kHz long range and spend the night in a relatively safe place. The next day, he had to climb a double hill to finally reach the evacuation point. The road ahead is long and challenging, so he brought fire and clean water to depart. Along the way, he encountered many difficulties, even spilling water in his bowl. Finally, he found a cave to rest for the night and keep the fire going. On the last day, Zek dragged his tired body and walked around for more than 4 more hours, finally seeing the rescue truck waiting to be picked up. Zek succeeded in the 21-day survival challenge. In 3 weeks, at any time, he lost 16 kilograms. Keem, a 28-year-old man, is an animal control officer. Since he was 10 years old, he started shooting and fishing outdoors on his own. After graduating, he served in the army and became a technician in the Air Force. After being disappointed, he didn't know what to do and even became depressed. To regain the same feeling of excitement, he decided to participate in the challenge. The girl I like to follow is Robin, 32 years old, a nurse. She was also a soldier and went through many training courses in the army. She has participated in many outdoor challenges and believes that her biggest weakness is that she is too dependent on the group. Therefore, she really wants to have a companion who is an excellent leader. This time they were left on an island in the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico. One of the harshest and most dangerous islands in the world. The dense islands on the island also provide the perfect hiding place for the largest carnivores in the global hemisphere, like black panthers and panthers. Especially during rainy hours, this place is often attacked by leopards. Rivers filled with methane gas and the existence of 4 types of snakes also pose a deadly danger. This harsh environment has clearly created a great challenge for them. After the tour boat brought the 2 people to their destination, they took turns removing their clothes and changing into body-shattering clothes, meeting each other at the temple. As soon as they met, Robin said that their matching outfits were perfect. Robin laughed and said she had more suitable things. Using the survival equipment Marion brought with her this time, it included a vegetable, firewood, and a healthy portion. There is also a camera that fans always criticize. According to the map, the 2 people started going through the cold area and arrived at another island. Then they passed through the low and romantic stopping area, rising up to a high altitude surrounded by a land filled with foul odors. Finally they followed the opposite slope to the large sea shore on the other side. They set up camp there to survive for 21 days. The storms caused tree edges to break horizontally and vertically, making it very difficult for them to move. After 3 hours of walking they finally reached high ground. Then they continued walking for more than an hour to reach their destination. Then choose a plot of land to start building. Not long after, my own distraction and attention came to a point where I could not let go. He quickly ran over and threw stones, finally hitting 2 stones. And for dinner, the 2 of them lit a fire and sat there, reading. In the middle of the night, the pitiful scream scared the 2 people, making the atmosphere cold. They looked around but saw nothing. The next morning, the 2 of them were still confused and immediately started their busy work. After setting up the camp above, I decided to say that I was very thirsty and wanted to drink water. As soon as Robin finished, he took the whole bag and went looking for fresh water. After taking some dirty water that smelled of rot, she boiled sticky rice and shared it to drink. After replenishing enough water, Robin discovered that they had set up camp under a poisonous tree. This plant's venom can cause flashes of fire if exposed, or worse, completely kill people. To ensure safety, they must flee and rebuild. After a while of being busy recording his voice, he was also prevented from leaking spices from coming into contact with poisonous plants. To ensure her health, the doctor quickly came and performed some simple treatments. More royally, their new run is finally completed. On the 3rd day, Zheng and Robin suddenly came up with an interesting idea. Robin wanted Zheng to make her a set of underwear. However, when I tried using coconut shells, I found it too small to fit. On the 4th day, I knew that the poisons on my body had begun to form and decay. The pain made him feel unbearable and his mood dropped rapidly. He had no choice but to call the doctor. The doctor gave him a dose of antibiotics. It's the 5th day of the outdoor survival challenge. Although my own poisoning has not shown any signs of improvement. But the most important thing right now is food. The sea turtle turned over the rocks to look for food while Robin was picking it up and placing it in the water. On the 7th day, I still had to endure the pain. The body is so tired that when you eat, you start to feel nauseous and vomit. Late in the afternoon, I couldn't stand it anymore, I ran to the beach and cried. Realizing I've become a burden. Just consider giving up. Robin saw a bunch of people running to eat. Tell me not to be too loving towards you. Then I ran into the lagoon to find my own ruler. After finding it, she cooked medicine for food and drink. On the 8th day, his health improved slightly and he decided to continue to survive. When Robin woke up, he proactively apologized to her and received forgiveness. After that, the 2 went to the beach to check the fishing again, but still nothing. And in the evening, when they were preparing to play cards, they suddenly heard movement outside the camp, another night without Moo. On the 9th day, the sky was overcast, heavy rain fell and they had no place to hide, they could only hide in the rusty camp and wait for the rain to stop. As the evening wore on, the rain continued unhappily, leaving them cold and unable to fend for themselves. The rain continued until the 11th day, all the leaves in the leaves were gone and there was no more dry leaves left to light a fire due to the 10 consecutive days. On the 13th day, the rain continued, the 2 people were very different but could not go outside because of the cold. Not when humidity drops to freezing levels. At this time, after regaining his composure, he was afraid that Robin would block the mat, so he started working outside in the rain. Even more unlucky was that in the dark, a strong wind blew away their escape and collapsed on them. They struggled to escape and had to run again to get out. On the 14th day, the sharp decline combined with the collapse of the run finally destroyed their last defense. To save their lives, the doctor went there to look at their bodies and gave them a layer of foil to keep their eyes open. After observing for a while, they decided to make a bet together. Finally, Jim and Robin's challenge ended after 14 days. No one can believe it for sure, this year 28 years old is a beautiful mess. In addition, he also considered himself a martial arts expert after studying martial arts and books. Friends have a lot of negative reviews, some say they are cheerful, others call them not active. But the real beauty skills are given to him. Participating in this program, you probably want to win the prize of $100,000. This woman is believed to be Molly, 33 years old, from Canada and a companion in the group. In the challenge of chat. She just retired from the army last year. Is a typical representative of the strong X generation. In the coming challenges, she has made people feel uncomfortable many times. The most surprising thing is that she had been to Afghanistan. And because of his achievements, he rose from common sense to become a platoon commander. But during that time, she has post-traumatic stress disorder. Make your relationship with your friend sour. Therefore, one of her goals when participating in the program is to enjoy life. And then improve your relationship with your left. Okay, the program took 2 people to a fire-connected island in the Caribbean, where there is very strong seismic activity. Specializing in this island are poisonous plants, poisonous snakeheads and poisonous guava trees. Like last year, local people often use this place to punish pirates. The scariest part is still the giant fire on the island. Once the method greeted the new year, it caused a toxic fire connection. And the snow gathered into terrifying clumps of vermicelli. The lava flow recently devastated the town, causing thousands of people to evacuate, leaving behind a desolate statue with crumbling ruins. Currently, this fire is still very active and can call at any time. A truck loaded with trash that even China was not interested in buying as raw materials took the 2 people to their meeting location and took both of their clothes. Later, the 2 met on a pile of ruins. As soon as we met, I probably felt like I couldn't control myself and had to constantly make mistakes. Says it's a natural reaction and hoped she doesn't take it for granted. Instead, she didn't pay too much attention. The basic tools they brought included a fire starter set and a pair of regular wires. Although Molly found the substance a bit odd and should have brought a lighter, she had not yet seen the true potential of the tea. After studying the map, the 2 decided to avoid this unreliable light and fire. Blocking the path, walking on stones like hot coals caused the 2 people's moving speed to slow down. I thought that stopping inside would be more comfortable, but the thorn bushes inside made the 2 people feel extremely embarrassed. Because the pace was too slow, the 2 people kept walking until it was dark but still did not reach their destination. I had to force the weeds to grow on the ground and leave them overnight. What will happen at night need not be mentioned. Early the next morning the 2 continued on their way. How long can we go? The sun is so harsh that the soil is broken. The constant feeling of nausea and vomiting is extremely unpleasant. There is no other way, but I have to use internal energy to move to contain the threads. Rumali stood next to him, looking at him with an evil look on his face. However, this method is really effective. In the afternoon, the 2 people finally found a number deep inside the stop. The clear stream of digital water makes people unable to see. After drinking water, the 2 of them found a flat plot of land near the fate and began to contemplate. While waiting, Molly not only did not get anything, but also continuously pointed out. Makes the substance feel extremely uncomfortable. But Mai is quite musical, so she was able to build a simple tent before playing in the evening. However, the weather was not favorable, a heavy rain suddenly came at that time, causing the 2 people to wait too late and had to endure the rain causing chili to appear all night in the tent from all directions. On the 3rd day, after waking up, the substance began to work hastily, although Molly continuously saved the moon and doubted the ability of the tea. In fact, this is something people are used to resigning at 10 years old, starting a fire is not their thing. But in contrast to the Hope team, no matter how hard we try, substance still cannot light a fire. Seeing Molly increasingly uncomfortable with the substance, she still spent time digging around to find some more dry edges. And this time the substance doesn't make her happy. Successfully built a large fire. On the 5th day, the river had a fever in the wilderness. When it turns to dizziness. 2 Japanese people were called and named Soi Kotsibi by some balls on the ground. It is said that this fruit has an unpleasant smell but can be eaten. After main grilling and tasting, the taste is really not pleasant. It smells worse than your feet after 28 years. When he finished, the 2 returned to camp and began to imagine how to spend the $100,000 reward. The more you talk, the more excited you become. The two of them also went out to defend the camp. Like a short-lived joy when Molly was excitedly looking at the camp, the substance encountered an unexpected problem. While coming down from the top, he accidentally fell and injured his shoulder. The doctor came to check and said that the substance was broken or seriously injured. Must be hospitalized immediately. The pain was so painful that I cried loudly and had no other choice but to use powder to help get rid of the pain. After leaving the precepts, Molly must complete the remaining 16 days of the challenge alone. Although she was not confident, she was determined to continue. On the 6th day, Molly was awakened by the sound of moisture coming from sweet and burning fire. Then she used a few strong strokes to leave behind a set of clothes. She tried it on and found it was quite good. Once there, it rained again, causing Molly to suffer from severe insomnia. On the 7th day, her fire was extinguished by heavy rain. Although she tried to rekindle it many times, it was unsuccessful. She gave up and lay down in the house. The successive defeats and incidents began to make Molly's emotions extremely unstable. Day 8, to escape the loneliness problem, Molly had to do something to keep from thinking too much. She went to the river and caught some small corrugated iron, but because there was no fire, she had to break her head and eat it alive. Speaking of which, has anyone ever eaten this raw? It rains again at night, loneliness and anxiety continue to creep into Molly. She even began to be paranoid, always feeling like there was someone standing outside watching her. Day 9, because I cannot escape loneliness. After many ideological struggles, Molly decided to give up. Finally, the beauty challenge in the wilderness of nature and Molly only lasts until day 9. If you and this girl were placed in a deserted environment without food, water or clothing. In order for you to survive for 21 days and complete the challenge, you will receive $100,000. If not successful, you will have to seek medical treatment. Are you up to the challenge? The 38-year-old woman's name is Damien, who runs a mine where she works alone. The complex and daily work has given her a strong body like a man. When she was 23 years old, she was lost on the mountain and wandered all night in the snow. Luckily, the rescue team arrived in time, otherwise she would have been frozen like a rock. However, that encounter could not reduce his belief in harsh challenges, on the contrary, it made him more determined. No Chai has an appearance similar to an anvil's eyes. His name is Neem. He is about 20 years old. He is a former water spirit. He is currently a firefighter and has 2 children. He grew up in a single-parent family and joined this program to teach his children how to become independent people. With this challenge, he felt it was much easier than the military direction. Both of these people were dropped on the Trinidad Fire Island. 5 in the Caribbean. Down and surrounded by the Great Ocean. This is one of the islands that is attacked by leopards all year round. With more than half 5 out of 10 consecutively. In the parking area, there are girls everywhere. And there are fiery scenes that spout bubbles. Just don't ask bats into it. You will not survive. Not only that. There are also wild cats with a strong sense of leadership and billions of cats that can harm humans. They can continue to count civil servants as faucets. Besides, I have millions of little turtles. They will crawl into the rack and absorb the color if infected. After the 2 were still transported by truck to the meeting locations. They were so angry that they removed all their clothes and started the journey with only 1 layer left. After a while of wandering in the bushes, they finally met. When we met, Dammy asked Tim if he was a gym goer. Tim also asked Dammy if he was a person who specializes in showing off. 2 people carried ordinary ropes and small spears. After reading the map and determining the direction of the water source, they did not rush to set out and smeared soil on their bodies to prevent mosquitoes. While leaving, Dammy asked Tim why he didn't hold his hand and said that he didn't have the ingot. The 2 walked for a while and then started to play in the rain. They used mandarin powder to keep their feet straight, then used tree leaves to direct the rainwater to drink. They continued walking in the rain and were soon attacked by a whale. Dammy was bitten and screamed. They continued walking until dusk and came to a small monkey. Then they chose a flat piece of land and started setting up camp. Because there were so many ants, they decided to build a position higher than the ground. Suddenly, Dammy was surprised by the rain, thinking that first she had to make a roof, then build the furnace. They both worked and argued, and I still hadn't finished the camp. Because there was no fire, countless ants rushed into attack from everywhere, making it impossible for them to sleep. The next morning, he discovered that his wings were covered with scars. Meanwhile, Dammy found a dry bird's nest while gathering things and brought it back. She tried to make a fire but she failed. Buoy afternoon, because he was thirsty, he couldn't stand it anymore and drank sick water from a pool of water. On the morning of the 3rd day, I woke up early and continued to live on my own. Seeing him being so independent made Dammy very uncomfortable and the 2 argued again. In the end, I threw down all my valuables and said I didn't want to do it anymore. Dammy immediately changed her attitude and started working again with him. They had succeeded in starting a fire and getting water. At night, Dammy said he would take care of the rest. On the fourth day, he was so tired that he just wanted to lie down, which made Dammy very unhappy and turned to face him in front of the camera. On the sixth day of the outdoor survival challenge, Dammy took the strong string from the commonly sold tapeworm to make a set of chicken hooks. Meanwhile, he still lies dormant and does nothing. In the days that followed, Dammy was always busy while her physical strength was exhausted. On the 10th day, Dammy couldn't stand the heart's breathing anymore and began to confide in him. However, not only did Tim not listen, but he also felt that Dammy was always controlling him. In the end, they quarreled and ended up unhappy. 2 days later, the heart was completely silent and did nothing. On the 13th day, Dammy alone went to collect some heartwood stems and brought them back to eat. Meanwhile, Tim not only lay low but also demanded his meat. Dammy angrily said that if you want the meat, go get it yourself. Don't expect trouble. On the 16th day, because my strength was exhausted, Dammy finally couldn't stand it anymore and fell down. At this time, Tim was still standing there.